I've always wanted to get him on because, you know, he just kept saying there'd be major earth changes. We're going to see massive earthquake increases. And you can look on his website, standeo.com, and he has a USGS graph I saw today, if you scroll down, that shows all the increased earthquakes. Yeah, scroll down some more. There it is right there. See that white graph? Massive ring of fire increase, massive shrinking and rising in different areas in the giant, massive supervolcano caldera out west. He talks a lot about that. And I'd hear him on Coast to Coast and go, you know, he sounds credible, but come on, you know, how does he know in the next few years this is all going to happen? Well, it's starting to happen. His background is in computer programming, marine architecture, advanced propulsion engineering, and biblical studies, earthquake forecasting. He says he's held an above top secret security clearance and worked undercover for the FBI as part of an exclusive black project. And he joins us now just to give us his take on the whole world and what's going on in it and where he thinks we're going. Stan, thanks for coming on with us.
Thank you for having me, Alex. Good to talk to a fellow Texan, even though I'm in Colorado.
Where do you want to start first in this crazy world?
Well, I suppose you started off with earthquakes. There are several major curves, or threat curves, I call them, to the people of Earth. Geophysical changes, geological changes, astronomical changes, political changes, threat of war. All these factors are playing heavily upon people's minds today. The earthquake thing, I used to be able to predict them fairly accurately, between 70 and 90% on a given week, using data from the U.S. Naval Facility at Fenmock over in Monterey, California. They monitor very subtle changes in the electric fields of the ocean and the air above the ocean, plus the sea surface temperature variation. And this allowed me to look at water coastlines all along the plate tectonic borders. And I determined back in 1996, when I started doing this, that you could see changes in the water surface temperature because of the electron flow over that area in the air. And it would make like a little butterfly, a yellow and blue wing type signature over where an earthquake was going to happen. And I perfected that technique over the years until 2005, when the Fenmock facility, the Navy, put up a new constellation of satellites and new programs on a new Cray computer. And they did not allow me to then access the files I had before to generate these reports. Strange enough, I was accurate enough that the Association of Island States, or island countries, if you wish, asked me to explain how to use it so that they could use it to predict tsunamis on these small islands.
By the way, I mean, when I go to the beach or I'm going deep sea fishing, I would go look at the wave buoys, wind systems with NOAA and others. I'm noticing now more and more of that is restricted to the public. And so I'm seeing a tightening down on what was public data with all these systems, not just at the scientific level you're at, but just in my use of it. Yeah, well,
it is kind of predictable when you get a totalitarian government, and that's what we've got. Some of the information from Yellowstone Park, where we have the Yellowstone caldera, since I think it was about February of last year, the government made all of the USGS employees, truck drivers moving equipment in and out of the sensor ranges there, everybody signed non-disclosure agreements with the government, facing penalties of cash fines and also imprisonment if they told what they're doing there in Yellowstone. And we had a geologist break silence. I won't name him, but anyway, they have been running huge, high-volume internet lines from their sensors all over the Yellowstone Park area down into Texas. I think they may be now switching it over to the NSA facility in Utah.
Well, I heard you 3 years ago on Coast to Coast saying that Yellowstone was becoming active again when nobody else was saying it. Now, this year, it's all over the news. They're saying it's due to erupt. Associated Press, Reuters. But they say, that could be in the next 1,000 years because they say it happens every few 100,000. How do they know? They've been proven to show longer periods of meteor strikes, tsunamis, earthquakes, ring of fire activity. It isn't the hundreds of thousands or millions. It looks like it happens a lot more often. Correct, sir?
Well, degrees of eruption, yes. To have one of those catastrophic supervolcanic eruptions may be, several 100,000 years between times. But what they're doing now is they're measuring the increased appearance of helium, an isotope of helium gas, which was buried way down deep underneath Yellowstone. And when that starts to release, it means that there's geological activity down there in a deeper pool of magma, which they have recently discovered.
Well, you're the first guy I ever heard warn of it, so I want to hear what you say you think's going on from all the data. They certainly are being secretive, and a lot of wildlife has been moving out of the area. Stan Deyo's our guest. I'm Alex Jones. Stay with us. Supervolcano straight ahead. I'm not saying that the supervolcano is going to blow up at Yellowstone this year, next year, or 10 years from now. But from satellite, they now know, if you look at Shoemaker-Levy, the comet that broke into a bunch of pieces decades ago and hit Jupiter, blowing holes in the gas giant bigger than Earth, scientists had thought that super collisions happened every 50 million years. Now they went, oh, actually, we think it happens every few thousand. And now they know from radio telescopes, there's just rocks and asteroids and comets all over the place. And now they can look from satellite and see the Earth's more pot-marked than the moon. These things we think are probably hitting every few hundred years. And stuff that knocked out the dinosaurs is hitting, every few million or whatever. Who knows? The point is the geological record's more sped up. Not even geological, the planetary record. And then you got these volcanoes. You got all the ancients reporting, it being dark for a year and most people dying and it being freezing. And people go, that's just ancient Sanskrit. That's a bunch of made up stuff. Floods, all this. Now we know the geological system isn't what the mainline preachers say trying to interpret the Bible, and it's not what the mainline scientists say. Stan Deyo's our guest. Do you agree with that kind of dead reckoning statement I made? And getting back into the supervolcano, you're the first guy I heard, I said years ago, decades ago, talking about it, 15 years ago or more with Art Bell and people. But then I heard you the last 3 years saying it's active, becoming more active again. And now it's mainstream news that's rising and lowering, and they're concerned, but don't worry or do worry. What's the bottom line?
Well, the bottom line is we're going to see trouble with Yellowstone, and we're going to see trouble with Lake Taupo caldera down in North Island, New Zealand. Both of those are under severe stress from different types of tectonic plate movement, but they are both supervolcanoes. And Lake Taupo erupted last in 87 AD. It sent up so much ash from the southern hemisphere that the Chinese astronomers at that time recorded 3 days of darkness after the eruption down there. Now, USGS has been told not to panic people because it hurts real estate values and the economy if it gets too serious. But people who read between the lines will see that we're being warned by USGS, by drills and just kind of subtle warnings in the newspaper in California that earthquake activity and hence some volcanic activity is somewhat imminent. And they're trying to get people to gradually readjust their circumstance without causing a panic. Mind you, with all the illegals in California, I guess, if that fell into the sea, it wouldn't be a great loss. But still, you got to give them a chance.
So, I mean, what are the technicals then on Yellowstone? Why are they so concerned?
Well, it's because the vent or the new plasma pool they found deep down has opened up a vent to the northwest, heading toward Mount St. Helens direction. This one is a very deep vent because when the Fukushima earthquake occurred, on that day I was watching the seismic helicopters at Yellowstone, and one of them, the northwest corner, picked up and rang like a bell before the normal shock wave could have even reached the United States. And that means to me that there is a direct hydrodynamic connection in the magma between Yellowstone and the western side of the North Pacific. This is what they're watching because it will be a prelude to New Madrid. It'll be a prelude to a number of other volcanoes and breaking up of the West Coast. So the Yellowstone caldera is kind of a new kind of instrument in addition to being a threat.
Stan Deyo is our guest. Again, I'm Alex Jones. If you just tuned in, I want to show you a USGS, I know you know it, blast prediction path. From the eruption date, they claim 2.1 million, 1.3, and the last one, 640,000 years ago. So I guess they're saying every million years or so, on average, million to 800,000, I guess if you average it. We're talking lava and ash hitting as far east as as Louisiana and Arkansas and Tennessee, as far north as into Canada and going into California. Major hot ash, I guess, would kill everybody, blasting out from Yellowstone Plateau into Oklahoma. Where do they get these numbers, the last one being 640,000 years?
Well, they look at the carbon dating and various other gas components of crystallized glass that was in the ash that was thrown out.
Is there any mega volcano, a super volcano this big that's known? Because I've looked at the other ones and they don't look like they're this big.
Well, the Lake Taupo eruption was pretty massive. It was huge.
Here is from the Army Times, April 28th, 1997, at a conference on terrorism, weapons of mass destruction and strategy, University of Georgia, by the Secretary of Defense, William Cohen. I remember reading this on air out of the Army Times when it came out. Others are engaging even in an eco type of terrorism, whereby they can alter the climate, set off earthquakes, volcanoes, remotely through the use of electromagnetic waves. That is the, and you can click on the citing there, 3, that's Army Times. You can see where it's cited there. Federation of American Scientists, addressed by U.S. Secretary of State, is that source. But I read it directly out of the Army Times when I saw it. There's a devastating tsunami bomb. That was in the New Zealand Herald that the U.S. tested. And Live Science reported on the tectonic weapon to hit Haiti. The thing is, see, when you're informed, this stuff's all admitted. But then the general public still doesn't know that spider guts have been around for 20 years. Or that you can buy a glow-in-the-dark dog for $4,000 from China 15 years ago. I could have a glow-in-the-dark rhesus monkey for $15,000 last time I saw the price that I could buy out of New York that was brought in from Hong Kong. I could have, in studio, a glowing monkey that's part jellyfish. And the general public just is still thinking they're living in Kansas, and you're not, folks. You're not in Kansas anymore. And this is the stuff we know about. Stan Deyo is our guest. We're going to go right back to him in a moment. I want to get his take on that and more on where we're going, what the big threats are, and then geopolitically, and talk about the work he's doing over at standeyo.com. But first off, just don't forget, we are listener supported. We're not taxpayer funded with stimulus money like MSNBC or $400, $500 million a year, depending on the year, like NPR. We're funded by the high quality products we sell. ProPure is the best gravity fed filters out there. People are insane if they're not getting the glyphosates. It's even in the table water. It's not just in tap water. It's in most of the well water, 97% the feds estimate. The sodium fluoride, it cuts it all out. It's the best filtration system out there. 10% off on all their units with promo code WATER. We've never been authorized to have a deal like this. On their ProPure Traveler, 25% off the already lowest price out there, $153, normally $205. No one has anything like this. The filters of a leading competitor are $100 and don't even do what this does. Okay, they're extremely competitive. We have the best deals on ProPure 2.0 systems, all of it. InfoWarsStore.com. Take advantage, 25% off. And it's going to run until they sell out and a new shipment's coming in. So this will probably only run about a week. 25% off. I haven't plugged it yet. It'll probably sell out in one day. They've got a certain amount in the warehouse. I don't even know why they're offering this. They have a big shipment coming in. But there's no point. It would sell out in a month anyways. The point, we already have the lowest price. This is a great deal, and it helps fund our operation. And the ProPure manufacturers here in the U.S. are such patriots and such listeners that they're not even cutting into our profit on this special. Usually we have to agree on these. I have a contract on what I can give you. It's already caused disputes with other distributors that I give 10% off just perpetually. People really go crazy when I offer 15. They're now giving us authorization without us asking 25% on the Traveler, which is a big system, but it'll fit in your RV or whatever. It's not like the bigger Nomads and the ProPure Big and the ProPure King. They've got the pictures. They're the best deal out there. InfoWarsStore.com, and your purchase makes the whole broadcast possible. InfoWarsLife.com takes you right to the subsection of InfoWarsStore.com where you find the Survival Shield Nascent Iodine. No one has it. No one has a system like this. It is the best iodine out there. If it can be improved, we will. We're working on that. That'll be announced the next month or two. We're always innovating. We've got the Super Male Vitality, 15% off. that we're going to be getting rid of that special soon. Your purchase makes it all possible. You can always call toll-free for any of the products, 888-253-3139. And we fund our media operation the old-fashioned way, not with state-run media money, but with sponsorship and products we sell. We're here to have the name long-term that proves itself reliable. We're here to be knights in the fight against evil. We're here to sell you what we'd want to be sold. We're here to treat you like you'd want to be treated. And you know what? It's working. We now can put an article out every week. Drudge and others are able to pick it up, magnify it. Drudge, the #1 news site in the world, forces out the ranch story, forces out the bullet story, forces out the superbug story, and then the horror media all picks it up. We now are at the center of destroying the establishment dinosaur forever. And, I mean, look at these headlines. Holder snaps. Cruz, Holder should be impeached for defying Congress and the rule of law. Other congressmen call him a criminal, say he should be in jail. Employees at Dallas IRS wore pro-Obama stickers, buttons, and T-shirts as a jihad brigade. 44% Twitter accounts. I've never seen tweet. That's an interesting story. You've got Boehner coming out saying there's a criminal cover-up. You've got Senator Sessions saying there's a criminal collapse of America going on. It's all happening. Stan Deyo, I'm ranting. I want you to get into real threats, back into the super volcano, but you've talked a lot about this and this criminal system. Most people, as you know, in government, in corporations are not bad. They love their kids too. But tyranny always has this leg up that people can't believe it's happening in their time, and so it gets a jump on people during the headlights. I think the sleeping giant is starting to wake up. I'm concerned the power structure may stage false flags as a pretext to try to get our confidence again or a war. But I don't even think that's going to work. Where do you think, as a really guy that's tuned in, where do you think we are historically? And then I want to get back into the supervolcano and Cohen's quote.
Well, at the moment, politically, I think the United States is in serious trouble of breaking out into open anarchy. This deal with Cliven Bundy is kind of the tip of the spear. A number of people that see visions and biblical scholars have said that the United States doesn't have a position in the final world government. And I think that's probably because the United States as a political entity will be destroyed from within, and perhaps a little help from outside from the Chinese and the Russians. The latest thing that I saw this morning on the webpage that Holly prepares for us, the news page, she found an article talking about Obama's administration trying to get rid of the electoral college and go to a popular vote, which would, in essence, absolutely just turn control over to this administration, do anything they want.
Well, that's what the illegals are for.
Absolutely.
To vote, yeah.
Absolutely. Everybody that's getting a handout and depending on it from the government will vote, keep the government there. And these are not always the most wise people to have that vote. Anyway, I mean, it certainly disadvantages those of us in the western states who have smaller populations, but did have...
You're dead meat. You're dead meat. The welfare crowd, the corporate people will literally vote to put you in slave wagons. I mean, if you're in a democracy, it's two wolves and a sheep voting on what's for dinner.
There's two things. If the government wants to take us over with martial law and that kind of stuff, they can do it if we don't resist. If we do resist, then they can do it with a vengeance because they'll be defending themselves. So either way, we're headed for an enslavement, which will bring chaos into the country because there will be a number of us that will resist that. And Hitler proved you can't force people to accept, a tyrannical order. They will have underground movements and like the French resistance, they'll destroy that order. So we are looking at a time of chaos approaching right now. And with the weakening of the U.S. stock market and the U.S. dollar, rapidly, we could see an economic collapse of the dollar and hence the rest of the world following suit and rearranging their dependence and the way they write contracts and what kind of currency. To me, this means that we are holding our breath this year. We're going to see a very destabilized U.S. this year, in my opinion.
Simply incredible. And that's what a lot of the experts are saying, and we're already seeing the stock market today going wild. And the lies coming out of Obama and Holder saying no attorney general's ever gotten in trouble when a bunch of them have gone to prison. The last one, John N. Mitchell, for 19 months, died in prison for doing mild stuff compared to what Holder's doing. I'm concerned about a false flag.
Well, that would be certainly on the cards. With the false flag, it would enable them to put troops everywhere and put martial law and put curfews out and limit what you can take out of the bank. All those kind of draconian measures can be justified in a time of crisis, especially an alleged terrorist attack on one or more U.S. cities and targets. Like
I'm more and more. I agree with you. I'm more and more just asked, do I evacuate the U.S.? But it's a world government. There's nowhere to run. But at the same time, I see people waking up so fast, and I have hope that people in the power structure don't really want to get rid of their own checks and balances so a tiny elite can run things. I mean, it's so bad to do what we're doing for 99.9999999% of people. Historically, a tyranny will even destroy emperors. I mean, it's just, a tyranny stinks. Why would the elite want to bring this in?
I think at the moment that the United States is a pain in the backside of the New World Order. A lot of the elitists are not in the United States.
That's
they're
right.
elsewhere, as you know. And they need to take us out as a military power, whether we would do what they want or not. They need to weaken us to the point that they won't, the United States won't interfere with Middle East operations and operations in Australia and various other countries that the elitists want to do. They want to take us down to remove us as a threat. Russia and China know that we could probably, our military guys could probably break with the Pentagon, or with the White House anyway, and make counterattacks in event of a nuclear war starting. So they have to neutralize our military and our will to fight.
That's why they're shutting the power plants down, the beef production, the manufacturing. Everything's being cut right now. It is a military operation against us.
Yes, absolutely. And when they hit the internet and our phones and credit cards, hence things like that, with various worms and Trojans.
It's the mega banks working with all these other crime syndicates. You can really see it. They want this country totally gutted.
Yep. And when Holly and I were guests of the Hopi Indians at the Shingopi tribe, Second Mesa, their prophecy keepers told us that America will have a multifaceted, multi-sided civil war very shortly, and black against white, Puerto Rican against black, whatever, Muslims against Christians and Jews, and extreme right, extreme left, poor, rich, all these kind of different directions will tear America apart once the economy starts to fail, and America will eventually be invaded, according to the Hopi prophecies. And a lot of what they say makes sense to me.
Well, I mean, you can just look at what's going on and how they're race baiting everything. They're really trying to balkanize the country and set it up for race war.
Well, certainly, and there's certainly enough weapons and ammunition and stuff around to do that. They've pushed every button from the White House. They pushed every button they could to bring America into civil disorder and collapse the economy here. I don't think they've left anything undone or unplanned to tear this country apart. They couldn't have done it better if they planned openly to destroy us.
Incredible. Stan Deyo, getting back into the super volcanoes, how did you first start warning of the supervolcano that now mainline scientists are saying is becoming active and could erupt at any time? I mean, how did you first get into that, and what else are you concerned with the Ring of Fire becoming very active, all these earthquakes we've seen? How much of it increased the last few months?
Well, when you say the last few months, are you talking about actual earthquakes or damage from earthquakes?
Well, just all of it. I was looking at the graphs. They're all off the chart from the USGS.
Okay. Well, that graph is showing, of course, deadly and destructive earthquakes, how many people got killed or whatever, and the damage from them. When you look at the actual earthquake plots, they are not quite as dramatic, but they do increase over the year 2000 to now.
That looks like a tenfold increase in death and destruction from what I see in the last 100 years.
And what that means is that these earthquakes are occurring in populated places all over the world, in diverse places.
And that brings up the Cohen quote.
Which is?
Which is about the Secretary of Defense saying that there's people that have earthquake weapons.
Well, yeah, I mean, we've known that for a while. I mean, Russia and the United States signed their first weather war treaty, or geologic treaty in 1977. So since 1977, it has kind of been a matter of public record that this kind of nonsense has been going on. Bunker buster bombs at the right place, nuclear detonations at the right place can cause earthquakes that are already formed and ready to happen to go ahead and trigger. The Cohen quote could be well applicable now. I'm looking at earthquakes at the moment on my earthquake map I've got on that show images page on our website. It's so for people that are following, it's down the third row down the middle where it shows earthquakes between the 25th of March and the 1st of April this year, planetary wide. And you will see, if you get a chance to look at it, that the Richter 8 some odd earthquake in Chile, probably 2.5 weeks ago now, has been followed by earthquakes moving up through Central America and up toward the United States on the Ring of Fire.
And I heard you on the radio a few weeks ago say, watch, this is going to follow up the tectonic plate, and it did it. But mainline scientists said, oh, no connection, don't worry.
Well, yeah, again, I think that their hands are tied by the White House. That so many of them had to sign these agreements not to pass, terrible information to the public, but unless the White House gives them permission to. And that's for economic and political stability and all kinds of other reasons that the White House does that. But I know, having talked to some of these USGS officers or engineers, that their hands are just tied. They wish they could say more. To give you, how long have we got here? We got a couple minutes?
Got a couple more minutes. We're going to come back with 2 more segments. Yes, sir.
Okay. In the Philippines, there was a volcanic eruption there. And a few years back, they made a documentary of the USGS handling this, the explosion there. What was it, Pinatubo or something like that? Anyway, the USGS was sitting there measuring earthquakes underneath the cone of this big volcano, trying to figure out, is it about to erupt? Is it about to erupt? And they were running around inside there. You could see them on the documentary. And their concern was that if they called it an earthquake and called an evacuation of 1 million people plus the U.S. Air Force Base there, and it didn't happen, everybody would, turn on them and consume them for having giving false information, hurt business, and all that kind of stuff. On the other hand, if they don't do it and it does happen, they'd say, why didn't you warn us? And so they're darned if they do, darned if they don't. And finally, they bit the bullet and said, look, we think the eruption is imminent. Evacuate. And it saved a lot of lives. That's the problem facing people in official positions with this kind of data is, personally, they are somewhat liable no matter what happens. They can't make a mistake. And it's hard in this business, in volcano prediction, earthquake prediction. There's a probability factor that works against you.
Getting back into, you were talking about all this earthquakes in New York, earthquakes in Colorado, earthquakes in places like Oklahoma and Texas. And again, you were talking about these fault lines in the middle of the country and weird drills. And I remember hearing you on the radio going, man, this guy sounds credible, but they're going to get active in the middle of the country and the government knows something, and then they're having drills and it all starts happening. So Stan Deyo, tell us what you think's going on.
All right. Well, now, I don't know if your producer has the ability to put this graphic up, but if he doesn't, you can go to standeyo.com.
They're showing it right now. Yeah.
All right. Now, all right, is that the one that shows all the earthquakes over the planet in the United States?
Yes, we've been showing the U.S. and the world. We've been showing different ones.
Okay, well, all right, we'll come back to that in a second. But on the top row of the images I've put up for you guys, on the right-hand side is one called the USA Stable Earthquake Shield. Now, what this picture is, a black and white picture, but it's hard to get this data. But I want you to look at this, because where this black line runs from Canada down into Texas and up into Oklahoma and across over the New Madrid and then up into the western side of the eastern, the western side of the Appalachians up into New York. This line is what's called the stable shield, where earthquakes basically don't occur. Outside that line, toward the oceans, is where the earthquakes occur, right on that border. And surprise, surprise, it runs through, central Texas up into Oklahoma City, over into the lower, or into the start region of the New Madrid, and then on up into the New England states, past New York and whatever. Along those lines, and up and through Yellowstone too, by the way, is where we're going to see massive earthquakes and possibly some volcanic activity, in addition to what's going to happen in California with volcanoes and up into the range of them, the Cascades under the west coast there. There's probably about 6 volcanoes that may become active there. But anyway, if you look at that, pull that thing down and put it in your computer, print it out, and realize where those black lines are down at the central stable region of the U.S. shield. Outside that region is going to have some activity, fairly serious ones. Now, the first graphic I had put up was showing the earthquake patterns for the last 30 days of the planet. And certainly you can see from just looking at that we have activity starting to increase in the northern part of Oregon, southern part of Washington, and at the very tip of northern California, at where the Juan de Fuca plate is. And that's the reason that we have a great deal of concern for the area there for tsunamis and damaged infrastructures, because the Juan de Fuca plate is the only one of all of those earthquakes you see there around the Ring of Fire, the only one that is not released its Richter 9+ stress in the last 55 years. Everyone is watching that site if something triggers it.
Yeah, California, what will happen conservatively compared to other earthquakes in similar fault lines, according to the geology, unsanitized through the federal government, according to your sources? What will happen if it kicks off on average? Will it have like a 8.0, or could it be big like Japan, even higher?
Well, the northern California, the Juan de Fuca plate, is already rated at Richter 9+, and that's on the new system, which typically records a slightly lower value. So an earthquake there could then trigger the San Andreas Fault and a number of parallel faults in California, breaking it up into a series of islands, more than just the whole West Coast falling
off. That could be a blessing, actually.
Yeah, I know.
I'm being sarcastic, folks. California's a beautiful state. There's a lot of great people in it, but yeah, we know what's been going on there, though, and it's. I'm hoping the wise people there have moved out. Certainly, we've seen an influx of many of the Californians over the last 10 years into Colorado, getting into a better area. And they're now taking your guns. Yes, they.
Well, no. I mean, look.
No, I mean, they wreck their state, and they come to Texas and Colorado and try to pass anti-gun laws.
You see this vest I've got here, made in Colorado.
Yes, sir.
By Colorado Leather. Right in there is where you put your pistol. It's a concealed carry.
No, I love Colorado. I'm just saying the Democrats have moved there and are passing anti-gun laws.
Yeah, well, we're trying to stop that now. Then we've been good about having a couple of our senators recalled. Friends of ours have helped to organize that. And
no, you've done great. You've done great. I'm sorry to go off on a jag.
That's all right. Now, listen, one thing I do want to say here, Alex, is this. We talk about these frightening, threatening things, and I don't want to leave people just fearful with no answers. Neither does Holly, and that's why she puts up that website every day, and lots of preparation information for free on it. Hard copy stuff you can get in her book, Dare to Prepare, and in my book, The Cosmic Conspiracy. Those two help you to prepare for the immediate future, spiritually and physically, practically and philosophically. And so understand that it's not our job to frighten you. It is our job to help you, and not let you just, go put your head in a pillow and say, I can't do it anymore. I'm running, I'm sticking my head in the sand. We can deal with this, those of us that are prepared. And I don't think we need to give up our weapons. I don't think we need to give up our food as being hoarders, according to the government. I think we need to take a stand for that, and maybe put stashes of food and medicine and munitions and whatever.
Oh, no, I agree. We tell people how bad things are getting so they're ready for it and can deal with it.
That's right. And I'm certainly glad you do. I know you have a lot of listeners, and we share a lot of listeners as well, I suppose. But,
we do. I just really respect so much of the info you've put out. I respect you totally, and I think you're a visionary on so many levels, Stan. So I hope you'll start coming on, every month or so on a regular basis, and we'll get into your book, The Cosmic Conspiracy, Dare to Prepare, all of it. Thank you so much for spending time with us. My friends, we have done it. With Dr. Group's help, we have developed the ultimate male vitality supplement with 8 concentrated super herbs. This is the answer to the globalist war on male vitality with the estrogen mimickers they've added to the food and the water supply. And now our test pilot, our Chuck Yeager, Dr. Edward Group, is here to test his greatest invention. Doctor?
Thank you, Alex. I will now take 2 droppers to test this ultimate male vitality formula.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is a momentous moment. Thank you, Dr. Group.
I will activate my muscles by doing push-ups.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is it. This is the move. This is unprecedented. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to see what happens right now. Oh my God! What the hell? Wait. Get out of here. Shut this down. This is not safe. This is not, hold on. Settle down. Get another doctor. Something's wrong. Something's wrong with him. Help him. Ladies and gentlemen, we did not intend for that to happen. I take it personally. Do not have those problems. Again, these are authorized herbs, well known to be safe. Please, doctor, wait a minute. Ladies and gentlemen, we're just going to cut to commercial for just a moment. Cut. Get everybody out of here.
Super male vitality. It's awesome. Just not this awesome.
Oh my God! What the hell? Ladies and gentlemen, the dramatization you've just seen is just that. It is satire to illustrate in a satirical way the incredible power of super male vitality. It will not turn you into Conan the Barbarian, but it will help block some of the estrogen mimickers and reportedly let your glands produce the natural hormones your body needs. It also does have some other side effects in the human testing that we discovered, ladies and gentlemen. I'm about to illustrate right now what that is. Let's see if I can do it again. It takes some focus. Up, and away!
Start your journey to super male vitality today at InfoWarsLife.com. The facts are in. The studies are legion. Sodium fluoride and other toxic members of the fluoride family are devastating the health and cognitive ability of the American people. So why are the social engineers adding it to the water? Simple. Dumb down the host population that the parasitic technocracy is feeding on. We may not have been able to get fluoride out of the water supply yet, but we can help to get it out of our bodies. I am extremely excited to announce the exclusive InfoWars Life Fluoride Shield formulation, fusing 6 of the best documented ingredients from around the world to help the body remove not just toxic fluoride residues from the body, but a whole host of toxic substances. Let's take a stand against the globalists by blocking their poisons with Fluoride Shield. I use Fluoride Shield every day. Secure your Fluoride Shield and other pioneering formulations at InfoWarsLife.com today. Let's start cleansing our bodies now and support the InfoWar at the same time. That's InfoWarsLife.com.